Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. It is Tuesday. Market opened up with 25 handle gap, and same way it's pretty much been doing for the most of 2016. And just like the rest of the times, it was pretty much sold. For me, I was like, I don't think they could do it again. How easy is it for these shorts to continue to be able to sell down the open? Well, I guess it's that easy. You had oil go red, you had the Russell go red, you had everything go red, and spiders that were up $2 and change just went red also, went down to retest Friday's lows, got a little bit above it and bounced in a pretty potent bounce, and then settled in. So anyway, these ranges are big, and you just got to be very careful, because if you started buying today in the first half an hour, there was probably no way you could have held on. And then if you shorted the first rally in the afternoon thinking we were going to close on our lows, you probably got taken out to the woodshed as well. So, you have to be careful on your pricing. You can't be too early or too late. So let's look right here at the chart of the spiders right now. Still, hovering now around the September lows. Okay, not near the flash crash lows. Today you had a pivot where it went as low as 186.20. and held above the Friday pivot of 185.52. So I guess that would be somewhat deemed constructive. It would have been a lot nicer to open up here, buy versus for a move higher, than open up and just fade, be 30, 40 handles off the highs and then bounce up. But anyway, I talked about resistance being this, this 8-day that's been just pretty much controlling any bounce, and we weren't even strong enough to get there today. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see. Here is today's high, and we'll see if this lower pivot winds up, resolving higher to burn off the condition that we're in, or not. We could be trending down like this for a long period of time, especially with the way this market's trading. Which is the last thing that we want, is this, trending down. But we'll see what happens. I thought the bottom tail in the Russell would give us another day. The IWM pulled in 75 cents off the high, so I tried to buy it, near the open, and, it didn't work real well for me. Didn't lose a heck of a lot, but thought perhaps, this little bottom tail here after a huge move lower would be okay, and it kind of held right in there also, a penny away or so, and it is what it is. If you want to look at it quickly at the 5-minute chart to see how you really could have got hurt versus, a little paper loss right here. Okay, this was your, here was your gap up. Okay, so I started buying somewhere around here, I think, and then you had a rally up, and it was so heavy and didn't feel good at all. And basically, this little this little ascending channel here, that was intact, pretty much got me out right there. And then some people might have got short, around that 1035, and if you did so, you made a heck of a lot of money. But again, the rally was sold, and that's that. XLE, see what you're doing. Same type of thing, gapped up, came in, tried to rally back, never was able to get back into the area, and then wound up breaking the lows here of the morning and gave you another move down. Some people love this little H-cell setup, right? Gap up, boom, short versus the highs, come into here, add through the lows, and then pick and choose when you want to cover before this little move back up to retest. So, they can continue to go through so many of the sectors. They all did pretty much the same thing. So let's take a quick look at NFLX. I think NFLX, when I came in here, came out with a decent report. We'll see. I think it's up like $10 after hours. So let's see Netflix. Netflix, what are you doing? Can you save high beta tech? Netflix is up $9. So go to Netflix. I think it'll be an interesting tell tomorrow to see if anything could trade on its own merits, basically. Here is, hold on a second, actually. Here is Netflix. Oh, this is on the 5-minute still. Let's go to the daily. I'm sorry. Go to the daily on Netflix. And, here is this, descending channel here. So I guess this will tell us the real health of the market. Can Netflix get above 117.50 and hold above it and actually trade higher? Or is this market that weak that nothing's going to be allowed to come back up to highs? So will they, give this an excuse to sell into the strength, and at some point it was actually up about 122, 123 before I came in here. Now I would say this is the pivot. If it doesn't hold 117.50 after hours, you better get out of the way. And then tomorrow we'll see what's next here. IBM also came out, I think pretty much in line, nothing special, but this stock has been so battered and bruised. I remember, I think last year was the year I said, you know, I had a whole lot of longs, and I think the last 2 years I talked about how IBM was a short. But anyway, look, just even, you know, how you could use the 200-day here. You know, broke, came back in, couldn't hold it, broke, support, rallied back up, and now it's been absolutely crushed. So I guess we'll see what happens tomorrow with IBM because it still is a component of a lot of indices. This is the low. The low here on IBM is 128.06. So this will be your pivot support, and if it tries to rally, it's been getting rejected by the 8-day ever since the start of 2016. Just like everything else, this is not a coinky-dink. You know, strong markets, strong sectors are above the 8 and 21-day moving average. You buy them, you hold them, you add to them, you high-five your neighbor if you're a bull. And I guess if you're a bear and you're a good short, weak stocks and weak sectors stay below the 8 and 21-day. We talked about that. The whole morning call this morning was based on can, you know, certain stocks get to the 8-day, and if they do, are they sold or does it reclaim it? They didn't even get there. Look at Facebook. You know, Facebook also actually touched it a little bit, so maybe Facebook, some of you guys made some money watching the morning call, because what did it do? It got to the 8-day, which I'll show you a little bit closer up, and got rejected right here. Same way it got rejected here, it got rejected there. So now we'll see how it reacts on, you know, on Netflix numbers, because, you know, high beta tech tries to move together, but this was a better sell than a buy. The same way into here was a better sell. In the whole, you know, you could make a little bit of money long, but, you know, buying it afterwards has just been real tricky. Apple also, you know, nothing special here. You know, holding this bottom pivot by a thread. Okay, what does a thread mean? A thread means not by much, and here it is. This 95.50 is now, you know, key support. Look at this too, below the 8-day moving average for about 2 weeks. So guys making money shorting this thing the whole way down and doing well. You know, that trend started once it broke this ascending channel here and lost the 200-day and hasn't even been strong enough to rally above the 21-day. You know, when Apple's good, what does Apple do? It rides above the 8-day moving average all the way up. So that's why I talk about it. Well, look at this trend. Oh, look at that, above the 8-day moving average and the 21-day the whole time. And what is it here? Below both. That's, you know, there's no arguing with that. There's no debate. There's no analyst. It's what the action's telling you. You know, and again, it's not the easiest thing to navigate, especially if you're used to one type of scenario, but you got to adjust. Otherwise, you're going to blow up. Like I said before, oil went red, and, you know, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. You know, I went out flat. Definitely another tricky day where, you know, I thought we were up 25 handles. Maybe after a 15-10 handle pull-in, I could be cute and buy it, and it didn't work. I traded against the 30-minute pivot, and that was that. And, you know, and then everything else kind of followed suit. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. There is a lower pivot building. Question is, can it resolve and reclaim the 8-day and get a little bit of an oversold bounce, which everyone thinks has to happen, but it hasn't yet. So we'll see if that develops, or can we get some kind of fast acceleration type move lower, you know, which I think would be better to get a tradable bounce from somewhere else, because obviously from this area, it's not that easy. So with all that said, hopefully you had a decent day. It's Tuesday, and got a lot of week left. Have a good night.